Hello everyone, this is Tim, and I wanted to apologize for the silence that I have had lately. I have had some computer technical problems, and I finally got the parts in the mail. I had to track down the UPS guy because Best Buy decided to send it to my old address instead of the one I gave them. But it all got figured out, so I'm back, so that's good. I was thinking the other day about a concept of how to run a dungeon game. And that normally it tends to be a little railroady when you do a dungeon. But that doesn't have to be the case, especially if you run a larger dungeon. If you put lots of intersections in there, and they can go really wherever they want to, it's almost impossible to think, okay, they're going to go this room first, and then this is going to be the last room. And in that way, I think a dungeon can be sort of like a limited sandbox, where it isn't as wide open as, say, a normal sandbox game would be, where there's just like a large map with different towns and they wander about. It's more limited in scope, which is nice for the GM because there's less prep work, and that's a good thing. But the idea of a dungeon as a limited sandbox kind of I don't know, just kind of popped in my head the one day, and if you go about designing a dungeon with that in mind, you won't think, okay, well, here's the big room at the end with the dragon, and all the gold and stuff, and they have to get to that room. But really just think of it as just a series of choices, and you're really not going to know which choice the players are going to make. So you just make it with that in mind, where it's just there are different sections. You just don't know which section they're going to go to first. So I think if you design a dungeon like that, I don't know, I think it would work out well. Just give them plenty of options, plenty of choices, and again, it's nice that the number of choices would be limited, because there's only so many hallways, there's only so many rooms compared to like an outdoor sandbox campaign. But it's always good to give your players freedom, give them choices, and let them live with the consequences of those choices. But yeah, another thing I've been doing lately, I'm going to be running several. Oh boy, I'm going to be running. Let me think here. 3 games at a convention in Butler, Pennsylvania this weekend. It's called SibCon, and in October I'm going to be running two games at the convention ChuckaCon. That's in Pittsburgh, and then in November, I'm going to be running 6 events at GasCon, because I'm a glutton for punishment, apparently. But so I'm going to have a lot of prep work for all these convention games that I'm going to be doing. And it's kind of funny. I was thinking, okay, I always say that I want to do something different. I want to do something different with my convention games. In years past, I've given out free books. Can't really do that this year. I'm kind of strapped for cash. So I want to do something special for one of the Labyrinth Lord games I'm going to run. And I'm going to use Jeff Rients under Xylarthen's Tower. It's a free adventure download. It's like six levels. And there's way more there than we can go through in a session. But I'm going to try to steer them towards like one of the levels. Like, you need to find something on this level, and supposedly this person has it. And there's lots of rumors, which I thought was neat. To kind of like lure the players in, lure the characters in. But anyway, I came up with the dungeon level that I wanted to use. It was basically just the first one. And I started cutting out the rooms with cardboard. I guess it's actually like poster board like thickness. I used to work at a job that I did a lot of packing. And there were always these cardboard inserts to protect the product inside. They were the same size as the box. And they were like long and like skinny. And I just started collecting them one day. I just started throwing them in a box. Like, I'm just going to take these home. These look really cool. They look like I could actually use them for something. And what I did was I just cut out each individual room, up to the doorway. And I made that one room. And I tried to use standard, measurements. I don't know, like an inch is like 5 feet or 10 feet, depending on how I wanted to do it. And I just made rooms with it. And what's nice about that is you can start out with your entry-level room, or your start. And that's the only thing on the table. You don't have a big map. I've used the dry erase marker maps, but For me, this is kind of nice because it's self-mapping, or the GM has already done the mapping before the players even show up. So it's less work on them, and they can really focus on staying in character. But I'll show you a picture here of the finished, I kind of laid out all the rooms on the table, and you can see it real quick here. Alright, hopefully you saw the layout of the dungeon there. This is an example of one of the rooms, and I basically went along the edge of it. I basically cut this out with scissors, but if you have an X-Acto knife, that would work as well, just like a razor knife. But I just cut out the size of the room, and I measured it out beforehand. I basically just used pencil, and I put like an inch grid, and after the grid was done, I cut it out, and then I outlined the edge, like with the marker on the side. Just use like the side of the marker. That works pretty well. And for doors, I just put little, just black like rectangles there. So you have the grid, you have the doorways on there. I also put the number of the room in the center of it. For aesthetics, you might not want to do that. You can put it on the back. And I don't know, I've done that in the past, but it seems like it's like a little, I don't know, it's just easier for me to just see the number on the room as it's laid out. If you want to on the back, you can also put like, room 13's up here, room 12's that way, and just put arrows, so that'll help you out. But for simplicity's sake, I just put the number of the room and the number on the GM map, so I know how it all lays out. And what's nice is, if you see here, there's a little bit of blood. And you can, with markers and any sort of crafty skill you have, markers, I don't know, you can put like eyes on it if there's some strange thing in the room. You can really get kind of crafty with these kind of things. And I don't know, they're a lot of fun. So let's say this was the starting room. When you show up to the game, this is what you would see in the table, and then nothing else. And as the game progresses, I would put a room over here. I'd put a room, through this doorway here, through this doorway. And the map would just grow as you play. And again, going back to that sandbox idea, there's 3 doors there. I don't know which door the player's going to go through first. And that's kind of the nice thing. Like, you set up these encounters in each room, and make sure you have some empty space in there, because every room shouldn't be an encounter. You can throw in weird things. There's plenty out there talking about dungeon design. But in my mind, I think a good dungeon is one that would be open to the choices that the players make, and see what kind of consequences come about depending on which way they go first. You might even think ahead, like, okay, they're going to go this way first. Let's say they go this way first. Okay, then they're not going to have this item from over here, and this might be a little bit harder. Or if they go this way first, okay, they'll get a cool item, but then they won't have like the healing potions that are over here, or the magic items, or scrolls, or whatever. And you can really overanalyze things like that. I don't tend to do that. I tend to just lay it out and see what the players do. And if I have to shoot from the hip as I'm playing, I'm good at that, so it doesn't bother me. And I usually have more rules-like rules, so I can just throw up stuff if some unforeseen problem comes about. But that's a good skill to have as a GM, just to be able to just bring stuff up on the fly and see what happens. So yeah, dungeons, I think, should be a limited sandbox in flavor. Really give those players, the choices and let them deal with the consequences. And I think cardboard dungeons are great. They're simple. They take a little bit of time, but players seem to really like the idea that they don't have to map. And I don't know. And if they do like to map, it's easier for them to see because it's right on the table. It cuts down on time at the table. Like, okay, you guys go to the next room. Hold on, let me draw it. Go take a bathroom break. Instead of doing that, you just flop the room down. You already spent that time beforehand putting all the intricate blood stains or runes or magical circles or whatever you want to put in the room. And just let it go like that and see what they think. Another interesting thing about doing the cardboard dungeon is this kind of crosses that line between the characters and the players, but you can put things on the cardboard dungeon, like different colors and different things, and let the players point it out, like, hey, what's that red thing right there? What's that green thing right there? So it kind of brings the players into looking at what you actually have made.